What's going on, everybody out there? This is Popular Stranger. We're back at you again today with another MLB 15 The Show Diamond Dynasty gameplay. We're also back with another edition of This Week in Major League Baseball. This is our weekly series where we play Diamond Dynasty and talk about all things going around in Major League Baseball. Now, as always, if you have any topics that you want me to cover in future episodes, feel free to leave the suggestions down in the comments section below. Let's jump right into the news for this week. The Miami Marlins fired their manager. This is the second time that's happened this year. The Brewers, as we know, fired theirs a couple weeks ago, but a very interesting person took over for the Marlins. He's coming down from the office into the dugout, so their general manager, Dan Jennings, is going to take over. Very interesting because he has no type of managing baseball experience when it comes to actual game managing. You know, he manages the players, and he's been doing that for a while. He's actually drafted some young, good players, but they just can't seem to put it together. Very disappointing. Now, they haven't won since he's taken over earlier in the week, and they're actually really struggling. I had no idea that they were playing this bad. You know, every year you think they could be that team that kind of surprises people, a lot of good young players, but you know, just again, never able to put it together. It almost seems like almost every year, minus last year, because I don't think much was expected. But the Marlins for the last couple of years have had some somewhat good expectations that, you know, they could be that breakthrough team. They're right now 1-9 out of their last 10, lost 6 in a row. So just absolutely struggling. A team that is not, and doing the exact opposite, is a team that started off the season pretty bad, but it's a long season, and you can never count out the San Francisco Giants. They won their 5th straight yesterday, beat the Dodgers. I believe the score was 4-0. They're now 22-18, won 7 out of their last 10, and the Dodgers are kind of going backwards here. They're 5-5 in their last 10, lost 2 in a row, both of those being to the Giants. 24-15. The Giants are only 2.5 games back on the Dodgers in the NL West. Tim Lincecum yesterday pitches 7 shutout innings, only 3 hits allowed, and he's just been really, really good this year. Kind of getting back to his form. Another one of those players that's just aging, but getting, you know, kind of reverting back to his old self, his Cy Young self. He has a 2.08 ERA this year, 4-2, so pitching very, very well. Buster Posey hit a big home run. Hunter Pence back from an injury. The Giants are always a team that you have to watch out for, and I would certainly not count them out. I know my Rockies have a series with them this weekend, so hopefully we can cool them down. I'm not sure. So we're going to talk about Bryce Harper again. He's still not cooling down. Probably playing the best baseball out of anybody in baseball so far this year. But he's in the news for other reasons. Now, he got ejected twice in the last week, and, you know, just reading the headlines, you would think, come on, Bryce, like, you gotta stop this stuff. You gotta grow up and just play baseball. Stop focusing on non-baseball things, or I guess bringing focus on non-baseball things and make the right decisions. But I actually read the story and watched the video, and I believe it was last night, he got thrown out for no reason. So they were playing against the Yankees, and there was a pitch that looked very low to me, called for a strike, and so he kind of had a comment, made a comment, was in the batter's box. Mitch Williams, you know, shouting from the dugout, started talking about the pitch and got the umpire's attention. And they kind of panned back the video and showed the view of Bryce Harper standing in the batter box. He kind of stepped out, and apparently the umpire said, get back in there. And as he was walking towards there, I mean, he was kind of taking his time. The ump threw him out, threw Williams out. And, you know, I could understand throwing out the manager for the Nets. He kind of deserved it. But Bryce Harper, I mean, the umpires sometimes, they just want to turn all the attention to themselves, and I really do hate that about baseball sometimes. But it was definitely not deserved for Bryce Harper to get thrown out yesterday. Go watch the video if you haven't seen it yet. Very, very interesting. He just got the raw deal on that one. The Nationals ended up coming back and winning that game against the Yankees, and they're still playing great. I mentioned them last week, the hottest team in baseball. I'd probably say they still are one of. 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 5 in a row. They now have a game lead ahead of the New York Mets. You guys remember the Mets were winners of 10 straight earlier in the season had a nice lead on everybody in the NL East, and things have certainly changed in that division. The Cardinals still lead the NL Central. The AL East is still led by the Yankees. AL Central still led by the Royals. And Houston hanging on to that lead, 5.5 games up on everybody in the AL West. Still playing great baseball. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm out. Peace.